Look in my eyes for my mind state. I'm on the grind 25 days. Money on my mind, that's how I play. If you got it now, this what I say. Hold up, hold up, hold up, wait. Hold up, hold up, hold up, wait.
We are live, episode 7 of the Swervecity podcast.
Only 7, I thought you did.
No, we've done some like we had this Swerve Talk episode that we did on High Spots with Sammy Callahan producing, but this is me and Monteasy's project. And I know anybody listening or watching at home, we don't have Monteasy here this week. He's moving into his apartment this week, and he's moving all 400 of his children in there. So I figured we'd give him the week off to get that situated.
How does he fit 400 children in an apartment?
I don't know how he fits 400 children in life.
Well, I mean, I think at that point you can just it's easy enough at least to like rank them.
Oh yeah, you can put a ranking system. He can do a PWI with his children.
Well, after the PWI 500, like this is my thing with PWI 500. After the top like 10, it's just whatever. They don't care. They just throw their names wherever they want to.
You're a guy.
Yeah,
you're an individual.
Have you heard of this guy? Yeah,
maybe
top 100. What about this guy? Not really familiar with him.
I mean, I'm in 200.
Yeah,
I'm like 220.
And you're on like what, 3 or 4 different TV programs?
Yeah.
Which is weird because again, there's no real like standard. It's just wherever they put you. Which is cool when we talk about this in the car. When you're like 19 and you just start wrestling and you get your first time in PWI 500, it's so cool.
It's amazing when you first get it, and then it's like
5 years,
5 years gone, 8 years of my career.
Yeah.
All right, you rank 300. Fuck this magazine.
You realize like it doesn't really mean anything.
Right. So for everybody who's tuning in to the podcast, episode 7, we haven't named it yet. We'll probably find a name for this episode during this interview or whatever. And it's not even really an interview; it's more like a discussion. If you're not a
amazing, just a name.
Oh, what do we have?
The Grimm Adventures of Simon and Shane.
Boom. Remember that, Cy.
Is that
Cy?
Billy and Mandy was a great cartoon. It's really underrated.
It was. So I'm tuned in here with my guest for the evening, Mr. Simon Grimm, aka Simon Gotch, former NXT Tag Champion, former WWE star. We have a lot to discuss. Though first, I'll just talk about what's going on in the past week. It is Monday, September. What are we going on? September 17th.
Yeah.
Monday, September 17th.
So we were both in North Carolina.
Oh, before I even go there. Your boy got engaged.
Oh, I know.
Oh, yeah. The world needs to know.
Well, I thought the world knew.
I mean, there was like 10,000 like likes and comments and.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. So the man got engaged in Seattle. I'm off the market officially now. Like, ladies, leave me alone. Unless you listening to the podcast and watching and streaming. You got questions. That's about it.
I will say the one mistake you made by making it public. Now you can't just get free shit. It's harder to get free shit.
The only free shit I ever get is for the podcast. Shout out to Around Seattle for sending us these phone stands. These phone stands that are great. We got 2 of them right here. So that's how these people going on Instagram Live watching us can watch the stands right here. So this is wonderful.
No, I'm very envious of people who can do the wish lists on Amazon.
Oh yeah,
to do that. And
I never done it.
I don't want to do it because I'd feel really ashamed if I did it and I didn't get anything.
This is
there's a guy John Cothran who does he's done some comic books of wrestlers.
Oh yeah.
He did the Nikolai Volkov.
Excuse me while I eat my cookies.
Eat those cookies.
He did spoil my dinner.
He did one for Jack Swagger, and the way he does it is basically part of the deal is they set up a GoFundMe or whatever is a Kickstarter to raise the money for the comic, for the production of it. And he asked me if I wanted to do one because I wanted to meet him at a comic book convention.
What's his man's name? Connor?
John.
Cothran.
Oh,
okay. There's another
Cowther or something like that.
Gotcha.
I feel like an ass for not remembering because off the top of my head.
There's like a lot of guys that do that. So,
yeah. But he's done one with a lot of legends and with some guys, like I said, with Swagger, for example. I think the Swagger one's coming out soon. But he was like, "Hey, do you want to do it?" And I was like, I don't know. And he wasn't sure. He didn't really understand. But I was like, I don't want to be the first guy you've done this with.
And it fails.
Yeah. And
it bombs.
I would feel really my ego is fragile and bruised pretty regularly, just thanks to existing. So if I was the first wrestler who didn't make it's not even like a lot of money. It's $5,000, which
That's a good amount, but
it's a good amount for an individual.
Depending on where you're at in your career.
Yeah, for a crowdsourcing thing though, $5,000's pretty doable.
Yeah.
But there's that part of me where I was like, I don't want to be the first guy you try to run one of these with, and it fails, especially if it fails epically. Like you raise like $300 out of $5,000. That's just that would be one of the one. Oh, there he is.
Oh.
I can't pronounce his last name, but he's.
Oh, shout him out so the world can know.
Yeah, John Crowther.
John Crowther. There we go. John Crowther. Shout out
Yeah,
John Crowther.
he does a comic called Rochelle, which is actually inspired by his daughter.
Oh, okay.
It's
awesome.
it's about a girl who's half girl, half cockroach.
Jesus
She's
Christ.
a superhero.
Jesus Christ.
She's not like an actual like aesthetic cockroach. It's like her armor.
Oh.
But no, it's a good example. He does a lot of great comics. But it's it was the one thing I was really insecure about was when I get asked to do stuff like that. It's the same thing like when WrestleCrate had they wanted me to do a signing for their crates, and they're like, so what do you want, like compensation wise?
I mean,
I
some
don't-
used band-aids? Do you want a
Well, it's-
half-eaten sock with a hole in it?
Yeah, it's
What
like,
do you
I don't know
What do I
what
throw in this crate?
I don't know what my value
Garbage.
is. Like they're like, we're sending you 700 photos. Can you sign them? Yeah. What do you want to pay? What do you want pay wise? I'm like, I don't know. Like I don't know what to ask. I mean, there's that feeling of I don't want to ask too much and hear no, but I also don't want to ask too little and hear no because I'm like, oh, am I that unpopular that I asked like a very reasonable sum? Because that's all. Because you know that. Like, when
Like,
you're-
oh, that's nice.
Like when
I'm like, well, or you get the response of, that's it? I'm like, ooh,
yeah.
ooh.
Like I could have gotten more.
You mean, ooh.
I don't remember who I was
I've
talking.
been getting this for years.
Yeah. I don't know who I was talking to recently, but they mentioned something about booking in India. The show wound up falling apart.
Of course, like that's being a wrestler, and you get a lot of like these fantasy booking matches and shows, events in India and Saudi Arabia and stuff. And through your
Africa,
emails.
that's another good one.
Africa's a good one.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like, and for me, my fantasy mind, I think of like, Assassin's Creed Origins. I'm like, oh, that's going to be fantastic, and then it just falls through. Yeah. So that happened. That's goes on through everybody's career every once in a while.
But he was like, the guy, I can't remember who was booking. It might have been PJ Black or somebody like that was booking it. And he was like, how much do you want? And he goes, I'd never gotten paid more than like a couple $100. But he was like, I don't know, 500. He goes, that's it. And then he's like, he's talking to him. He's like, yeah, I talked him up to 750 for you.
Oh,
I'm like, oh, thanks. But there's that feeling of
like,
I asked for 500, not sure if I could get it, and you.
Of course
They got 750.
Oh,
even though the show fell apart and it never happened, but
okay.
It was the idea. It's the same, Jericho's whole thing when he went to WCW.
oh, he didn't know his value.
Yeah, he thought can you get $100,000? And they're like, oh, we're paying Benoit and Guerrero and all those guys 150 or 250, and we think you're about their levels. We'll pay you that.
Yeah.
I probably could have gotten 5 if I'd asked.
Yeah, exactly.
Confidence is key.
Yeah, Swerve.
I have none.
Swerve's confidence.
Oh, I got Swerve last night. I don't know if I told you this.
Oh, before we get into that,
Let's get-
we got to discuss what happened this past week with.
So obviously, beyond you getting engaged,
Yes,
to your wonderful fiance.
Yep, in Seattle, the
Yes.
place we were both born.
Oh yes, and you on the
And
spaces.
And on the space, we both were born in Seattle, met in Seattle at the First to Five show, and now engaged in Seattle. I'm probably going to get married in Seattle, most likely. So,
Trying to figure out what else we could do in Seattle. Though, if you guys have a child, conceive in Seattle.
we have to do it in Seattle.
Yeah, do it in Seattle.
Of course. And she has to be born in Seattle.
Yeah, she has to be born in Seattle.
So we got 2 more missions to accomplish
There you
as
go.
far as this goes. And I already have 2 children as it is.
Right.
So I got to get them out here to Seattle to witness it.
There you go.
The wedding.
The wedding.
The conceiving.
Yes.
Yeah.
Birth
Can't have
baby.
that. Yes. Yeah.
But so we were both booked on a show in North Carolina for PWX. So me and Shane are apparently the only 2 people whose flights beat the hurricane.
Yeah. I was coming from Seattle.
He's coming from Seattle. I'm coming from Chicago. I was up there for a wedding, and so we fly in, and I get there at like 7 in the morning. He gets there like an hour or 2 after me, and everyone else has been waved off. Like Billy Gunn got waved off. Matt Cross's flight got canceled.
I know Jason Cade and
Yes.
John Cruz were driving up.
Yeah.
They got to Atlanta from Orlando,
Yeah.
which is like a good
4 or 5 hour drive.
4 or 5 hour
Yeah,
drive.
fast you go.
They figured, the show's canceled. They had to turn around and drive back, so they did like a 7-hour drive for no reason.
Jamie Sangala had like a 12-hour drive. He got there, but it was.
Oh, yeah, he was coming
one
from
of-
Pennsylvania.
Yeah, he's coming from Pennsylvania, but he was so deep into the drive that at that point
Yeah.
it was like I may as well finish it.
Yeah.
So like we were the only ones that made it, and then we're getting told the show's canceled because of the hurricane.
I'm like, oh Lord.
So I'm thinking, okay, I'll just they had a hotel for me. I can just crash here tonight, get my flight up tomorrow morning. I get the alert on the American Airlines app, flight canceled. But we can rebook you. Cool, rebook the next flight. About 10 minutes later, flight canceled. This happens to me 4 times before I finally give up and I ask how close Atlanta is. And they're like, it's about a 4-hour drive. And I said, can anyone get me down there? Anyone going back that way? And they're like, we'll figure something out one way or another. And they told me you were going down there because you were going to drive back. You were going to drive back.
Truth be told, that added 2 more hours to my drive.
I understand that, and I appreciate that you did it. Because again, that's why.
Once again, this is one of those things in wrestling. Like, oh, you do the favors for somebody. You don't know how far along the lines. It's like, oh, that favor's going to get repaid right back.
I swore off podcasts for a while.
Oh,
I've done so many that in such a short period of time,
you can only get asked about Enzo many times.
That was the thing, is that I kept getting people after the fact, like, why do you keep talking about Enzo? I'm like, I actually don't. I just keep getting asked about it.
Yeah.
And I'm open with. I made it a point when I got released. One of my big things was like, I don't want to be that guy who doesn't give answers. I thought there was a lot of there were a lot of inaccuracies about my time in WWE and about me as a person that were put out there.
Yeah.
So I thought it was important that I get out there and I just sort of explain myself. And unfortunately, because I'm very animated when I talk, the very popular thing became people wanted to put me on podcasts just to hear me shit on Enzo. And after a while, I was like, this isn't kind of what I want to get known for. There's even I got offered a chance to do my own podcast, and I sort of didn't want. I was like, I just don't want to do a wrestling one. I'd rather talk about anything else. Because I felt like
you came to the right place for that. The least thing we'll talk about is wrestling.
But that's kind of why I agreed to do yours, because he drove 2 hours. He drove me down to freaking Atlanta. Like I can at least do his podcast.
And then I continued on 6.5 hours by myself after Atlanta. I got home at 4 a.m. and then still had to take the car back at like 10 a.m.
If it's any consolation, I had to sleep in the Atlanta airport because
that is, we were both some road warriors.
Oh yeah, no,
we were some road warriors this past weekend.
I think the limit is 4 hours. You can check your bag in before you get on the plane.
They held that up.
Oh yeah, and well, there was no one even at the counter by the time I got there.
Oh yeah,
9:30 at night. It was already empty. So there's like
10 o'clock, 11 o'clock flights that go out, but
there's not for American. Not at that point.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I mean that was the thing. It depends on the airline. I know we've had flights, particularly if you got a red eye, that get in sometimes midnight, 1 a.m.
Yeah, very
But
good.
at that point, no one's leaving it that late unless they're going to like Europe.
Oh boy. Yeah, no, I've been on a couple of those. So.
Oh, yeah, those are fun.
Oh man. So let's get in a little bit about you, the man, the myth, the legend.
I am none of those things.
I hope you're a man.
I'm barely a man. I'm. Have you seen what I wear? Come on. I don't. I think I own 3 T-shirts that don't have cartoon characters on.
I mean,
well, they weren't a Pro Wrestling T-shirt. That's free.
Yeah. Well, pretty soon I'm about to start getting some sponsorships. Like, hey, you want to get your stuff seen and promoted on the Swervecity podcast? Hit me up. Let me know.
That's not a bad idea. I mean, that's where the real money is.
All I want is retweets. All I want is shares. Share my shot. Share my shit.
That's where that's where you get paid. You don't. No one gets paid from producing actual content. You get paid from the sponsorship that comes from it.
Exactly.
If I could request one thing, I wish I could get the sort of sponsorship that being an attractive woman can get you on the internet.
Oh damn, yeah.
Just having a big ass can get you so much money.
Not even that, just that. Like, I could throw my feet in front of my Instagram Live followers right now and make like hundreds of dollars if I was promoting that. But that's not what I do.
That's not what you do.
No. So
and we're both wearing flip flops. Like that would be really easy.
This could be a really. Oh my god, you got 100,000 followers. Let's make some money.
Yeah, but I only got 21 people watching.
Once again, we go back to that like ego thing. Yeah. We put our ego in check. Like, how much money is this? Like,
No, that's usually where it goes. It is a Death Clock T-shirt, by the way. Someone asked that. I guess.
So, where are you from, man?
I'm actually from Northern California. I was technically born in Canoga Park, which is Southern California, but I was raised in Santa Rosa, which is about an hour north of San Francisco.
Okay.
Which, if you're from Seattle, it's like about a 12-hour drive south.
Okay.
So if you go like Highway 1 all the way down.
Yeah, I'm still new. I'm still learning Seattle, the highways, the routes, the areas, the climates. I'm learning all that shit over the past year and a half since doing the 5. And that's the only times I really go, rather than see Carly and her family.
You got the title up there. I see it.
Oh yeah, I've lost a little bit, but it's not on camera, not on the air. But yeah. So what got you into wrestling?
I always watched
as a fan.
Yeah. As a fan, I always watched it. I had no I don't remember not watching it at any point.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I was born in '82, so by the time I was 3 years old, WWF had the Saturday Sunday shows on USA. So I just always remember watching with my older brother, and that was just kind of our thing. Is like, you know, you watch Saturday morning cartoons, and then Saturday morning cartoons ended right about 10 o'clock, and 11 o'clock you had WWF starting. I think it was 10 o'clock it started on Saturday, and then Sunday it started at 11 because it was meant to be after church crowd. So it was just always a thing. I never even attended a live event until I think I was 18.
Oh boy.
Which is weird because...
Yeah, I was like about 15, I think, when my dad took me to a live show.
Well, the thing was, like, for me, it was I grew up poor, and it's weird to look back on...
Talk about that.
Oh, yeah.
Jesus. Because this is all about, like, overcoming those obstacles in life to get you where you are now, man.
So, my personality is way more of an obstacle than poverty. But,
Preach.
But,
Cook, boy.
What was it? My mom was a school teacher, my dad was a cokehead, so...
I think that balances.
It does, but not the rent. The rent, because the rent goes to the... I will say this, my father's big claim to fame for many years was doing cocaine with MC Hammer's dad at the racetrack.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, that's his big
Hell
claim to
yeah.
fame. Not like something he was proud of. Well, he was kind of proud of it. But it was something he definitely did.
If you're going to be a cokehead, be proud of something, that would be it.
Yeah.
Because, like, being a cokehead isn't something to be proud of.
No, well, but you have to be like, well, I've done cocaine with MC Hammer's dad. Like, that's... I mean, I don't know if that's cool, but it's definitely interesting.
Throw some Rick James in there, we got a story.
Oh, let me tell you about Rick James. There was a guy, he was the Iron Sheik, really, pop culture before the Iron Sheik was the Iron Sheik. So, like, he was the one where you heard how, you wound up hearing how crazy he is, and if you really break it down, everything he did was horrible. Like, if you really hear those Sheik stories, we laugh at them now, but they're all pretty awful. Like,
they wouldn't work in today's society.
No.
Not today's climate.
Oh, definitely not. No.
Matter of fact, a lot of wrestling stories wouldn't work in today's climate. Truth be told.
Again, I've heard that from more than one of the older guys. Who are like, oh, I'm so glad we didn't have cell phone cameras back when we were doing this stuff. Because we did horrible things, and they like the sort of things where they don't even they barely admit to them, and you hear stuff they will admit to.
Yeah.
Oh.
But imagine a cell phone when like your dad was doing coke with.
Oh, dude, I would have loved
somebody
that.
He would have had pictures.
Oh yeah, dude, hey, this is me and MC Hammer's dad. What's that big pile of white shit? It's like,
yep. Oh. Yeah, because we talk about it, but now that would have been on. That would have been on social media somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely.
But go more into your relationship with your father. I
don't have one.
Oh no.
Well, I have a father. I don't have a relationship with him.
Okay.
I have not talked to him since 2003.
Oof.
Oh yeah. No,
but so you know who he is.
I know who he is.
Yeah. Okay.
But a fun side story is just that. The last thing I remember him saying to me very specifically was, "Hey, don't let this be the last time we talk." And I'm like, "Oh, it won't be." And literally, I turn around and think to myself, "It will be. This is the last time we talk." I know.
This is definitely the last time I see this man.
Yeah, it was one of those things where I was well aware of it at the time.
All right.
Yeah, I'm not talking because he's beyond the cocaine. He's like paranoid, schizophrenic. Well, not schizophrenic, but he's like paranoid, compulsive liar. He swears up and down he was trained to kill by the CIA. He once told me I had an illegitimate half brother named Jason Bourne. I'm not even
Jack Reacher is part of the family tree.
Sidebar: am I the only thing Jack Reacher sounds like a sex act?
Yeah, it does. Pull a Jack Reacher.
Yeah, or worse, or a title to a porno. Like it's.
There's definitely probably spin-offs of that somewhere in this crazy world of ours.
When I heard Jack Reacher Never Go Back, my first reaction is this sounds like a gay porno. And it's the
Jack Reacher round.
It's the interracial. It's the
that's
edition.
Fantastic!
Great timing.
The laundry is done, everyone.
Awesome.
But edit that outside. Nah, he's not going to. He always forgets.
No, you have to leave it in. But Jack Reacher Never Go Back sounded like a gay porno having its first interracial edition. Like he's just gonna be with black guys the whole time. Jack Reacher, and he can never go back. He's gone black now. That's it. This is where we're at. It doesn't help that Tom Cruise has had that that rumor going around that he's secretly gay for 20 years. South Park, thank you very much.
Yeah. Oh man.
But
yeah, continuing on with the.
So because I
family.
But the whole point with the poverty thing was just
yeah.
Because obviously you'd spend money at the racetrack and on coke. We moved a lot, and on top of that, I didn't understand what the actual prices were to go see a wrestling show because they always have a WWF at the Cow Palace. But in my mind, it was super expensive. And then I looked back on it and realized it was like, even back then, it was like $5 for ringside. I know. You think back on it, you're like, wow, I could have had like ringside tickets to Hogan versus frickin', Ted DiBiase and stuff like that on house shows. Like, that would have been kind of cool as a kid. I didn't even see a live show until technically I was 17. The first live event I ever attended was ECW Heatwave 2000.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah, Los Angeles. Me and my brother drove down. It was right after I graduated high school, and my car died halfway there. Like actually, I cracked the engine block, and then after that happened, we had to catch a Greyhound down to LA, and I hurt my. I think I broke my foot at some point. Like I fractured the top of my foot, so I was limping around the rest of the day. And then, of course, the guys from XPW got involved, like grabbing at Francine, and they ruined the main event because it cut like 10 minutes out of it because they had to get them out of the building.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Good times.
So there was that. Yeah.
Good times.
But that was also the day Rob Van Dam hit the Van Terminator for the first time.
Oh.
And that was when I decided I wanted to be a wrestler.
And doing nothing equally like comparison to the Van Terminator, but that moment
it was the reaction
atmospheres.
and that like the feeling when it happened, and even looking back on it, it's not that impressive because you also like knowing now what I know, ECW had like a 14-foot ring, so it's not even like that far of a jump, and then
seeing Shane McMahon do it in a WWE 20-footer,
I have my feelings on that. I will simply state that Shane has a wonderful wife, a wonderful family. He's very wealthy, and I do not think that anyone should go to such extremes because they have issues with their relationship with their parents. Like I have issues with my father.
Right.
I don't talk to him. I would not jump off of a building because and land on a folding table because I thought it would make my dad respect me more. That to me is, I think, a very poor decision. That's my opinion on it. And the odd part is Vince did the same. Vince did the same thing with his dad. His father didn't respect.
He was doing a lot of Attitude Era.
His father
before
didn't respect. He didn't think his father respected him.
Right.
So Vince Jr. goes out and is like gets jacked, and we'll go out. And I heard a story where one time, I guess when he was still an interviewer, no one liked him at the time. You know, he's the boss's kid. Everyone hated him.
That's the preacher's kid.
Oh yeah. Same mentality.
Yeah.
And I think it was like Blackjack Mulligan. They were going to do a pull apart, like where it's going to break down to a fight in a promo, and they're going to do a pull apart. And Blackjack Mulligan's like, watch this, I want to break that motherfucker's nose. So they're doing the pull apart, and he reaches over and he just straight punches Vince as hard as he can in the face, breaks his nose. Blood goes everywhere. Vince just like, he's like, yeah, I got him. Vince gets up, wipes his face off, spits blows the blood out of his nose, goes, okay, let's do another take. No cells.
Got everybody's respect.
Because that was the one thing he did not want to look weak. And there have been other stories about he'd go to the bar with the boys, he'd get drunk, and he'd have everyone give him their finishers on the floor. Ugh. It's like, you're a billionaire, you don't need to take that.
No, but there's some point you got to get that respect with the boys in some way. No matter how much money you have, no power you got.
Oh yeah, with the boys, but the weird boys, he wasn't doing it for them, he was doing it for his dad. Because I still maintain his whole national expansion and everything. I think everything Vince has done in his career was because he was angry at his father, and he was trying.
That drove him though.
Yeah,
look where it's at now.
Oh yeah,
that growth, multi-billion-dollar promotion company.
And again,
can't even call it a promotion; it's a company.
But therein lies. That's the odd thing to me with Shane is I feel like he does a lot of that stuff because he wants his father's respect. But it's like you're not going to out Vince, which is kind of
nobody can do that.
You can out Shane Vince, but you can't out Vince.
Gotcha.
Like he can't. I don't think Shane could take an ugly enough bump or do a big enough spot or have a good enough match to where Vince would feel the way or where he would get the reaction from his father that he wants.
Do you believe that's difficult with in a locker room full of guys that are doing the most insane stuff that wrestling's ever seen in this generation? Like that's what you're in competition with.
To a certain extent, but even
athletically too.
And again, he's a 48-year-old man, so it's like,
right.
The athleticism. I ain't particularly athletic. I'm well aware of that, but a lot of guys nowadays are doing stuff that even 10 years ago was inconceivable. Stuff you were doing probably 3 years ago seems bland by comparison to some of the stuff that's happening now. Yeah. And it's not a knock on you.
No, it's true.
But you see a guy like an Eli Everfly who runs backwards and somehow does a front flip.
Yeah.
Like where you're like the physics of it doesn't make sense. Or the OWE guys where like the stuff they're doing you're like, I don't know how you can physically do that. And even Marco Stunt where at least he's tiny, and you understand how he can do it.
Yeah, the physics of his body, weight makes sense.
But then
you got Brody King.
Yeah. Oh, I love Brody.
I love shout out to Brody King.
Brody King's awesome.
If you're watching this, I hate you and love you at the same time.
Fun fact: Brody, my brother actually met Brody several years before I ever did.
Oh yeah. We talked about this last episode. Me and Rich Swan, our lives kind of like intertwined throughout our lives. Like when we were like 12 and 13, and we
Really?
didn't know. Yeah.
That's weird.
Oh, excuse me. Yeah, it was like I went to a random indie show when I was like 15, 16, and he was on it, and he was like doing like flippy stuff and in the intermission and stuff. I was like, oh, this kid's gonna be amazing. And then like years later, like I meet him in CZW. He's Dragon Gate and stuff. Then like years later, we start feuding in CZW. Years later, like and now like years later now, like I do mocap for him in the video game. So this is like our lives always intertwined.
That's actually, I'd say that's a way better mocap story than what I got. I think.
Oh, you did mocap?
No, Mike Mondo did my mocap.
Oh yeah, I was there for.
And I had to tell him he did my entrance wrong.
How?
That was an awkward. It wasn't the worst conversation I ever had, but it was kind of awkward. It's like, yeah, you did my entrance wrong. He's like, what? I was like, yeah, I don't.
How did this happen?
I was like, I don't kick my feet to my butt. I would kick the bottom buckle, or I kick the top buckle when I jump up and kick it. And I was like, every aspect of my the way you came down the rampway was wrong. I felt bad because I'm like, he's just there getting a payday, trying to do his best. That I'm the one asshole who's gonna call him out and be like, yeah, you did my mocap.
Funny thing, you know who would have been Rich Swan's entrance if I didn't step in and do it?
Mike Mondo?
No, he wasn't actually there on those. Eli Drake. Imagine Eli Drake doing the Thriller dance.
I actually could imagine that.
I mean, but for the video game, for Rich Swan body frame.
Well, again, he's like a foot taller and just jacked to the gills.
Exactly. It would be very stiff.
I've seen him eat a brick of cheese.
That is the most disgusting thing I've ever heard.
Well, he does the keto diet.
Oh, that's right.
So it's like it's because 60% fat. Like instead of a protein bar, he would literally like just like the brick of cheese, like the whatever it's like a half pound of cheese.
Good Lord.
And he'd just chomp on it like it was a protein bar. So
Good Lord.
I do not envy his bowel movements. I don't envy really anyone's bowel movements, but that's definitely something.
There are definitely others that are better than theirs.
Yeah, there's
some are better than others, but yeah. So I wanted to go into some current events today. We talked about your childhood and stuff. Music. You have any musical influences?
A lot.
I see you got Death Clock shirt on.
I do.
So
actually.
there has to be some type of.
I'm a big fan of Brendan Small, the guy who does.
Right.
If you actually haven't heard his Galactron albums, they're amazing.
I would not have known they even existed.
So one of my favorite comic books is it's called The Goon. It's by a guy named Eric Powell, who's actually he's a guy from Tennessee. He's a huge wrestling fan, in addition to being like into rockabilly stuff. He like rebuilds cars. His wife runs she does like these custom chocolate pieces where it'll be like a very elaborate like werewolf head made out of chocolate.
Interesting.
Yeah, but he did a comic with Brendan Small called Galactron, which is basically about a superhero in outer space, like almost like Star-Lord. But the idea is that he is an alcoholic, and like he's a huge celebrity, but he's an alcoholic, and he has like sex scandals, and he's going through a bad divorce and stuff like that.
D-Lo Diggs is very jealous of your mustache, by the way.
Is that D-Lo Brown, or is
D-Lo Diggs?
Well, I guess my question is, if D-Lo Diggs is not D-Lo Brown, then I'm let down. But that's.
I'm sorry to let you down.
Well, if it makes you feel, oddly enough, D-Lo Diggs likes my mustache. Gavin McNew likes my mustache as well.
Oh, there you go.
So we each got one.
So we do. Y'all better follow the page.
Oh, you should follow
the podcast. He might be back.
Follow the Swervecast. I live like 10 minutes from here, so.
Yeah, all my guests usually do.
But that's the easiest way to get people on.
But yeah. So are you following this whole Eminem MGK beef?
I'm from
Battle of the White Rappers. R.I.P. Mac Miller.
Okay, this is going to be a really cruel thing to say. I have very little sympathy for drug addicts.
Ooh.
Because my dad was a cokehead.
So
I understand it's a personal thing, but it's like I have very little sympathy for junkies. Like when people OD, my whole thing is like, well, you were doing a half pound of heroin. What the fuck did you think was going to happen?
Yeah.
Mac Miller's if he's on a shit ton of junk, it's like, well, what did you think was going to happen, man? Like, I'm not.
If you listen to that album, it was very depressing. It was like very depressing from a breakup standpoint, which a lot of people are attacking Ariana Grande, his former girlfriend, a big famous singer.
The only thing I can say about that is like, man, she and all that. You don't need to get that depressed.
Hey, who knows? Who knows what's going on behind the scenes?
But again, it's like generally people who get that depressive and that like wrapped up in narcotic use. There's usually other stuff going on.
Yeah.
They've actually done a study. It was very controversial at the time, but there was a study done by a guy who found that physical drug addiction is actually far lower occurring than we think. So, and because he was doing a study with impoverished areas, and he was finding that there were many cases where people weren't in fact physically addicted to drugs. But part of the issue was because they're in an impoverished area, they're limited in choices of not only, and this is going to sound weird, not only employment but entertainment. There's literally nothing to do.
Yeah.
And I've seen this firsthand. I lived in rural Missouri when
but I lived in like I wouldn't say impoverished neighborhoods.
Oh, I have.
But I lived in like some ghettos and some bad neighborhoods. I went to the park.
Yeah.
I played in my house. I crafted stuff. That's my mentality.
But again, it varies from person to person. I lived in a barrio in Sacramento, North Highlands.
Now that is some slums.
North Highlands.
Now that is slums.
Oh yeah, and I straight up saw a guy shooting heroin at like 3 o'clock on a Sunday afternoon behind the 7-Eleven.
Ugh.
Right across from my favorite taqueria.
Now it's your utmost favorite.
My utmost favorite taqueria?
Utmost favorite. Because you got memories, you got a connection there now.
Oh yeah. But wait, are you asking what my favorite taqueria is, or are you saying it is?
I'm saying it is now.
One
of your favorite. No, now
well, it's
it
the
is.
one I'll never forget.
Oh, okay, yeah. That's for sure.
But no, so you look, just sitting against a chain link fence, just shooting up, just got a needle in his arm. I was like, oh, guess that's the neighborhood I'm in.
This is life. Here we go.
This is where we're at. But
it goes up from here.
But that's kind of why I'm always very. I try not to talk about it. Like when people are like, if I ever get asked, I generally don't say anything because I have a very sort of hard opinion about drug abuse.
I mean, my father had drug issues at times. Like now he's like probably 8 years clean now. So, but he got his life together.
That's good.
Yeah,
I guess
he bounced back from it and turned his life around.
And that's my point. Like I have no issue with someone who gets clean. If anything, I'm like, good on you, man. It's the people who seem to never be able to do it that I'm just like, motherfucker, come on.
Well, like you can put that same thing with Eminem. He turned his life around with it. Yeah. He had it,
Right. But back to the subject at hand. I think the greatest issue is that it's a stylistic difference.
But yeah.
In that I had one of the stories or one of the realizations I had a while back, and it's a cliche, but you can only insult someone at their level. You can't insult someone at yours.
Yeah.
Like the insult, my former stepfather was from Peru.
Okay.
My mother's second husband was Peruvian. And while I will not say the term, the standard racially derogatory term for a Latino man that is used in America had zero impact on him when people would try to use it. Mm-hmm. Because he had no emotional connection to it. He's from another country. He doesn't know what it means. And even then, the first time he heard it, he was like 25. So
so I really don't know. Yeah.
So it's like if you're a black man growing up in Nigeria and you've never heard the N-word, you come to America the first time you hear it, there's probably a degree of confusion. Like, no, it's Nigeria. I'm Nigerian. Like you're trying to, you're mispronouncing it.
Wrong.
You pronounced it wrong.
No. But you're incorrect, sir.
Yeah, but it's that whole thing where it's like if you don't have any emotional connection to something, you can't really feel it. MGK is from a completely different generation of hip hop, and hip hop evolves so rapidly,
very quickly.
That, I mean, because I remember, what was it? 3 years ago, it was you had like the. God, what was it? Like the stuff like freaking, I don't even know what was that 3 years ago. Shit, I'm starting to think about
3 years ago?
I'm starting to think about like Lil Wayne, and I'm realizing that's like fucking.
No, that's like 10.
Yeah, it's like 10.
Almost getting more 10.
10 years ago now at this point. Like, but even then, like you think about something like how Lil Wayne sounded when they started doing like more of the auto tuning stuff.
Yeah.
Where that became the thing, and then you have the mumble rap, which is like the thing, and the SoundCloud rap.
The Futures and the guys.
All the Lils.
Little Zan, little fuckity fuck, little
the one that
Bumbleclot.
The one that got me was I was like, what was it? It was I was like, who's the one that died? No, was it Little Peep that died?
Yeah.
I was like, wait, is that guy's name Little Peep or Little Pump? And I looked it up, and they're both guys. They're two different guys. But
you can I was doing making up a name just
Little
to like.
Bumbleclot probably.
Yeah, that's probably out there. So I'm probably like really offending some up and coming rapper that's like tearing up the underground right now. But for me, here's my thing. It is my take. All these people sided with MGK on this whole beef against Eminem. They're going at it's not as much they're for Eminem, they're for MGK.
Yeah.
They're against Eminem because he's the guy who's up here.
Yeah.
That's always been a thing. Whoever's up here, we root for the underdog to dethrone him. So that's why, like MGK, the diss was okay.
Yeah.
It was good for him and his quality of music and his style and his expertise of it. But here's my thing. All in all, I tweeted it like yesterday, I believe. I was like, for all these people that are siding with MGK and saying he trashed M and M's music is trash lately, he hasn't put out a good album in 4 years, or the last 4 albums he's put out. His MGK's next album better go gold the first week.
Yeah.
And you better support his shit. Because if not, I don't want to hear a word after that.
That's the hardest thing, though, is that a lot of time people will support something verbally or visually, but they won't get behind it professionally.
Yes.
It's something I've seen in wrestling, actually, and it always makes me sad when I see it with the guys who get called up from NXT to WWE. You will hear people, even when you're in NXT, because it happened to me too, where they're like, "Oh, I really like these guys, but it'll never get over on the main roster."
Then support him.
Yeah, it's like, if you bail, of course they're gonna get over. If we had 30,000 people, I mean, Daniel Bryan, if everyone in the audience had been like, "Man, that guest thing ain't ever gonna get over. I ain't chanting that. I'm gonna listen."
Yeah, everybody sat on their hands.
Yeah,
we wouldn't have Daniel Bryan.
You have to support the stuff you love, and sometimes yes, your heart is gonna get broken. Probably more often than not, especially in wrestling. Mm-hmm. Where stuff, same thing with music. If you like a band, don't worry. Don't be like, "Man, they're never gonna break through."
No, buy their shit,
because you don't know when they're gonna disappear. One of my favorite bands of all time. It was a local band out of Northern California called Merv.
Mm-hmm.
They don't exist anymore
because nobody supported them.
Well, at a certain point, they were only supported so far, and they were amazing to see live. I've seen them live probably more than any other single band I've ever seen live. And they showed one of the things they would do, because one of the guys who was like a legit tenor, a guy named Mike Keogh, and they'd sing O Solo Mio. They'd do a cover of O Solo Mio, and he would hit the high note. But the gag he would do every time is because he'd become the great Kia Russo or something like that. He'd come out with a cape. He'd go, wait a minute, I need a help with the high note. And Merv, the guitar player, would come over. He would raise his hand high into the sky, and he'd swing down and grab him by the nuts, and then he'd hit the high note. It was like this huge thing. I would see these guys would do a guitar. I got one of the guitar players would do a guitar solo while pounding a beer, laying on his back. Little Windex. There we go.
Little Windex.
Little Windex.
I'm gonna create somebody on some game, and his name will be Little Windex.
Did you ever hear the story about Alexander Webb?
No, finish your story. This is the one, and we'll get to Alexander Webb.
I am terrible with flow of consciousness.
That's why I'm hosting this.
Oh, that's good. But what story am I telling? Shit. Oh, with the band.
Merv. So grabbing nuts, high notes.
So they're really entertaining, and they would, just a fun band to watch. If you want to hear a little bit of their stuff, you have to find the ad for the game Fighting Vipers for the Sega Saturn, because they actually used one of their songs for the ad.
Awesome.
But this was an example of a really talented band, but they were only supported so far.
Yeah.
It's like I bought T-shirts, I bought albums, I'd go to concerts, I'd support them any way I could.
Exactly.
And this was in 2099, so this was like early internet days where it wasn't like you could just promote a band that way.
Right.
So a lot of time I think fans are so afraid of getting hurt because you're in fandom. So much of your ego and your self-worth is built around what you love. Yeah. Similar to with like the MGK stuff, you're not necessarily, like you said, you're not necessarily supporting him because you like him.
You want to see the other guy torn down,
and you want to be on the upswing.
Yeah,
because if MGK goes up, you go up.
Exactly. You want to be the cutting edge. Like, I was listening to him before he got to here.
And because that's what it's always about. It's about a feeling of self-worth. It's about pride, not in achievement, but in connection.
Exactly.
I'm wearing the right T-shirt, so I'm in the know. But again, if you don't actually get behind those acts when they come out, and even the same thing with actually Ellen of Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. It was a movie that had a whole lot of buzz at Comic-Con, and everyone wanted to see it, and then no one went out to see it.
Yeah.
It's like, well, it's a great movie. Why didn't you see it? Oh, no, I don't know, motherfucker.
Yeah.
Why didn't you go see it?
If you read the comics, you followed it, you bought every comic, wouldn't you want to promote it when it got to this level?
And that's the problem. So many people just drop out. They give up. They give up because they're so afraid of getting burned. But sometimes you get burned. Just get burned.
Do you think it's a matter of the new toy effect?
That is a lot of it.
Yeah.
I think that's, again, something that seems cool because it's new and you've never seen it before. I mean, even we were talking about that in the car with a lot of indie wrestlers. Marco Stunt's kind of getting that right now because he did something cool on a big stage, so everyone wants to see him. Now he's booked everywhere. But 2 months ago, that was Ace Romero.
Very true.
And in the internet age, in the age of the GIF,
it was quick.
Yeah, it goes like that. It's just all of a sudden you have a new guy who's hot.
Yeah, where's Moonwalk DDT at?
Yeah, that was
where's Michael Jackson Moonwalk DDT guy?
He's still in Vegas, but again, that was for a hot second.
Right. Where's Jeffrey the Giraffe that came in the Battle Royal?
Get hit with the Amazon. Where's the dude? Even Eli Everfly, who still gets booked around, but he did that. He like ran backwards and did like a sliced bread over the ropes. On the
yeah. I've seen that.
But it was like hot for a second. Even the one Bandito I just saw this morning, I guess he did it the
German,
the
slingshot German,
thing. It can blow.
Now Bandito's going to be.
Oh yeah, he's huge.
He's going to be fine.
But when I started wrestling in 2001, you had guys like the Amazing Red and SATs who were on every show because you hear about the Spanish Fly, or you hear about the Code Red,
Code Reds,
and it was
the
like
top rope Code Red, the
like,
Shooting Star, Standing Shooting Star.
Remember when no one did the Standing Shooting Star?
Oh my God!
First time I saw that.
That's in comebacks now. That's in people's comebacks.
Then I saw Ruckus do it.
Yeah,
back when he was like
300-pound Ruckus.
Yeah.
300-pound Ruckus was doing Sasuke special to the outside.
That was actually how when I tried to sell people on Gym Nasty Boys, I tried to explain Timmy Lou Red. I literally say he's Fat Ruckus.
He's Fat Ruckus.
Because when Ruckus lost the weight, I was like, man, now he's just a cruiserweight.
Yep. He was doing that shit in Japan. He was doing like fucking back handsprints, like 6 of them down the aisleways in Japan.
I know, man.
In Cork and all.
It was crazy. And he do that stuff in CZW.
He can do it now.
But again, it's like, if he ain't fat, it's not that impressive. It's just, it's cool.
We got a question here from, what's your name?
Who is my favorite rapper?
Hi Frag. Who's your favorite rapper? What about naming your top 5 wrestlers of all time? Do you watch Desus and Mero? I watch Desus and Mero. Y'all watch Vice? I do.
I'm not familiar with Desus and Mero.
You need to ask me these questions. I got answers for all this shit.
Yeah.
You don't even know what Desus and Mero is.
I don't. What is it?
Play Call of Duty? Not anymore.
Okay, so I can give you, let's see. Favorite rapper? I'm gonna go with Mega Ran because I like him as a person.
Mega Ran is featured on the new Swervecity track with me and Monteasy on it.
And can you download that? Is that available for download?
It's we still got to get in the studio this month. It'll be done by the end of this month.
By the end of this month, you can download the track with
his favorite rapper.
My favorite rapper, Mega Ran. Second favorite rapper, I'm gonna have to go with STD, Shit for the Dark Lord.
I
like the nerdcore rap. They tour a lot together.
Okay.
MC Chris, MC Frontalot.
MC Chris, I haven't heard that name in years.
Oh, I love MC Chris.
I have not heard him in years. Who else you got? Top 5 favorite wrestlers.
Top 5. Oh, that's not easy. I'll usually just go with like Masawa, Kobashi, Minoru Suzuki.
Anybody in this continent?
No white.
No white men.
No white men. No white people. No honkies. I'm very. I will. It's odd because sometimes I'll get that question where they're like, oh, how does it feel to have been in WWE? It's like, I didn't really care. I didn't want to be there. It was a payday. It was like, and people lose their mind. You'd be shocked when people are like, why wouldn't you want to work for the biggest company in the world?
It breaks people's hearts because they grow up watching it. So
because it's shocking.
Connection there.
But like for me, it's like, no, I always wanted to wrestle in Japan. I wanted to go I don't want to wrestle. I've been in the ring at WrestleMania. It's neat. It's a nice payday. But at the end of the day, it's like that wasn't what I wanted to do with my career. Now you ask me if I want to be in the Tokyo Dome. I'm shitting my pants with excitement for that one.
Gotcha.
But that's me. That's just, let's see. This guy has offered me much love.
Everybody needs love.
Everyone needs. Oh, I have much of it then.
There you go. Now you have much love.
I have much love. I don't have just a small amount of love. But
I've been on Vice actually.
Have you?
Yeah. Wait, Vice. Yeah, Vice. I've been done a couple documentaries on Vice. Yeah.
I know that they do have good documentaries. I know that. I don't watch a lot of them, but again,
they did some wrestling ones. They did one in Defy. I was on that one. Call of Duty. I haven't played a new Call of Duty in a very long time. And what do we do daily? Masturbate. That's what we do daily. Moving on.
That's pretty much every pro wrestler.
Yeah. Well, yes, what we do daily. We are pro wrestlers. And therefore, masturbation is inquired in what we do.
Oh no, it's pretty much it's that weird connecting thing that it's like unless you're Mojo Rawley and you just get chicks.
Mojo Rawley seems like a very chick magnet type of guy. I met him once.
Shockingly, he is surprisingly charming.
He's a very charming guy when I met him.
He's very bombastic, very animated. He will dance his ass off like no white man I've ever seen.
Yeah, he's Gronk.
Where's Gronk Kim?
Oh, thank you. Pineapple Rain 147. Thank you. On congratulating me on my engagement.
Oh well, it is a wonderful thing. Because again, the tattoo would have seemed a little silly if you didn't do that.
I'm like, no. There was a plan in motion. I'll say that.
You broke it down to me. I was like, that was you hit it with the 3-4 where it was like
boom, boom, boom.
You gotta do the tattoo, do the photo shoot, get her in the photo shoot. Which is actually it's like proposing at the baseball game. You're in front of 40,000 people. You're gonna say no.
You say no. Oh, you can nobody will, not a judge in the world will freaking convict me of murder.
Oh,
what?
it's like
Not condoning domestic violence.
Oh, no one condones it. Well, I mean Rick James, but that's back to Rick James.
That's back to your father's days. We're not going to go back that
He
far.
was
We're
not.
moving
He
forward.
was not a domestic violence guy, enough of all those things.
Cocaine can change a lot of things in people. But yes.
A man convinced me he was good at basketball. 5'9" Jewish guy.
So you see my collection of comics over
I do see a
there.
collection of comics. Yeah.
Which ones are you reading at this point? Or if you read any. If you're a comic book guy.
Currently, no. At this exact moment, just because time-wise, I don't necessarily have the time for it.
Same. That's why these are collecting dust.
But the last one I was reading regularly, I really enjoyed The Strain. Or not The Strain. I'm sorry.
Everybody's talked about
not
that.
The Strain. No, I like The Strain, but no, I was The Spread. I'm sorry, that was the one I was thinking of. The Spread, which is like a weird post-apocalyptic version of The Thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of fun. Let's see, who is that? Favorite comic book writer? I like Tom King, is what Dark Soul Wrestling has said. Tom King does do some good Batman stuff. I know that. There's a very actually it's my favorite page from Batman. I posted it for Batman Day. The one where he's like just beat down, he's bloody. He's like, you know how many times I've heard that? This is the end, Batman. You're gonna die, Batman. Say your prayers, Batman. Every night, every damn night for years. Which is such a great Batman moment where it's just Batman. Whenever Batman
come
loses
on,
his shit,
guy.
where it's like, dude, you know what?
He can go on stand up doing this shit.
Dude, what was it? I think it was Justice League Unlimited. They had a thing where Amanda Waller talked about it because it was supposed to be the final episode, more or less, for Batman Beyond. And she said, because I think she said something about, you don't think I respect him? So he went out there with gods, with monsters, with all these things that no one could handle, and he stood up to them. Like, anyone can. Like, Superman ain't brave. He's fucking Superman. What's brave about the guy with unlimited power to standing
do
up?
anything.
Yeah. He knows bullets can't hurt him. That ain't bravery. Batman can die. That's bravery.
He jumps in front of bullets.
Yeah, that motherfucker can die easily.
Yeah, that's another thing. Like that's kind of like Batman is like one of my favorite heroes because of that fact. Like he has to work with the elements. He has to work with he has to use his skills to actually overcome a lot of these villains and help with help or no help.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. If anything, he's trying to get people away so he can handle himself, so they're safe. Yeah. That's a very Captain America is pretty much the Marvel version of the Batman. If you wanted to say, or Iron Man, you could say.
You know who the real?
Yeah.
I will say this. He was the absolute real Batman from the Marvel Universe, and he's completely opposite, which is a weird thing. Punisher.
Yeah.
And it goes beyond
Dead families.
Dead family, but even then, it's a weird, shall we say, sociological experiment that happened accidentally through comic book writing. Because you have one guy who's born wealthy and one guy who's born poor.
Yeah.
One guy who loses his family in his youth and one guy who loses his family when he's an adult.
Older.
One guy who grew up in because he was wealthy, a gentrified area where there were, you never saw a gun until the day your parents died. Another guy who was in the military and killed people.
About that.
Yeah, has killed people for
one guy who doesn't kill.
Yeah. And it's the same thing. It's like Batman refuses to use guns because he doesn't want to kill. The Punisher is like, not only does he kill, he knows he's a bad person for doing it. Like, he doesn't defend his...
He doesn't care.
Yeah, he's not the guy who goes, oh, well, I don't want to kill anyone. I'm going to use rubber bullets. He's like, no, fuck that. I'm going to kill everyone. I'm going to kill all y'all motherfuckers. And I have no guilt about it. I'm fully aware I'm in the wrong. I'm a big, overgrown baby. And Batman is... I think someone described it as... Batman is a mentally unstable man-child in a costume beating up poor people.
Yeah.
And it's true. He would rather put on a bat costume and beat up poor people than deal with his emotional problems.
Yeah.
And
then teach other children how to do it.
Oh yeah, no, he kidnaps children and trains them to kill. He says he's a terrible person.
Yeah.
But that's the whole thing, is what Batman is like. Batman and the Punisher kind of have it shows how, depending when you experience something in life, how it can affect the outcome.
You could be Batman with your background.
Not really.
That's a great background to have.
You know what? I don't.
With the background you have, coming of poverty, father was in drugs. Seeing the guy behind the taco shop doing needles and heroin.
Oh, I was like 25 when that happened.
Damn. That would have been great if it was 15.
No. I was like 20.
15, that would have been the...
that was the weird part.
See, if that would have happened at 13, 15 years old, that would have turned you into the superhero that you would have been today, jumping over the low rooftops of Orlando, Florida.
I think I would have mostly been like Mr. T and Mr. T and the T-Force.
Best
comic book ever made.
Nobody wants to be the T-Force.
I want to be the T-Force. I still to this day. 25 years later, I still...
Or you could be the G-Force.
Oh, wow.
That would make sense, right?
It did, but I just sort of feel like that took the air out of the room. Like
Ooh.
and I said that as someone who gets gassy. Like
Continuing on.
Continuing on.
Are you a Marvel guy, DC guy, preferably?
I have no preference, but I tend to.
I lean more towards the DC.
I'm actually. I'd say I'm more of a Dark Horse guy. If I gotta be honest.
Yeah.
I think Dark Horse overall, in their basic catalog, they have a lot more of the series I've enjoyed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who would you say is like the premier guy for that series? For anybody that doesn't know Dark Horse.
Prior to the Jim Carrey movie, The Mask.
Okay.
That is something I want to talk about because there's a thing I've realized. Whenever a comic book movie comes out, there's always a lot of like outrage about minor changes.
Or
Like,
mainly the guy who's playing him.
oh yeah, but like an example recently was Deadpool 2. There are people who were mad about Domino.
Really?
Yeah, and
I never heard the outrage for it.
it wasn't a lot, but there were people who were outraged over it
Because he was black? Or?
Well, therein lies the problem. It wasn't because she was black. It was because the character in the comic book has a white face with a black spot around the eye.
Mm-hmm.
Like literally, like paper white.
Right.
And that was not how they did it. They just had a black woman with the white paint around the eye.
Mm-hmm.
And people lost their minds over it. There was like people, and a lot of people were like, "Well, it's racist." Well, it's like the problem is there is a degree of that. That's absolutely what, like, there's part of it with that.
Mm-hmm.
But there's also this fear, this underlying fear with a lot of fans of comic books when it comes to the media being transferred. And it stems from the early 90s. When you would see these really bad comic book movies made, things like Steel, things like Batman and Robin, where they were viewed as utter betrayals of the character. The fear was that it would impact the actual comic. Because the justification is always, Batman's going to be Batman regardless of what the movies are.
Right.
But the fear people have.
I think there's fear of having a black Batman or something like that too.
Yeah. I'm only afraid if it's Idris Elba because I feel like you need to name another black actor. That's my only request. I get mad that every time something comes up, it's like, oh, Idris Elba could play that role. It's like, yeah, you know who else could? Literally any other black actor. Why is it always him? No, it's the same thing where they're like, why don't you cast a gay actor? I'm like, okay, name one. You don't even know the name of any gay actors, do you? And you're bitching about, learn their names, please.
Neil Patrick Harris is out there.
Neil Patrick Harris, please. At least then you're naming someone.
The only thing that he portrayed was Count Olaf on a series of unfortunate events. That's the only portrayal thing that I've seen done. And that's not a gay character, but like, it's very hindsight that you see Neil Patrick is gay. Neil Patrick Harris is gay.
And that's my whole point, is like, learn these actors' names, find these people, actually support them. Going back to what we're talking about, don't just be the guy who's like, we should have a black Batman. How about Michael Jai White? That motherfucker's a badass. I'd pay to see him as Batman.
No, he's Spawn.
He's fucking Black Dynamite.
He is, and he's great.
Oh yeah, dude,
fantastic.
I'm waiting for the Outlaw Johnny Black, the sequel. That's gonna be fucking crazy. But the whole point is like, there's one occurrence where the movie actually affected the comic book, and it was with The Mask.
Oh yeah, they did. They switched it around for them because of the film.
Yeah, like because the original run of The Mask was super gory, really over.
It was. I remember that.
Really fucked up comic. And then when the movie came out, the campiness became super over.
Mm-hmm.
They started changing it, making it less violent, and more cartoony. And it was the only time I can think of where that actually happened. But that's always the fear, is that if there's a with aesthetic stuff, it doesn't really matter. Like Samuel L. Jackson when he got cast as Nick Fury, no one complained about that because everyone loves Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah.
And they literally made Nick Fury black in the comic for that.
That's true.
But no one complained because everyone was cool with it.
That's true.
But there is always I think there's that underlying fear that if you let these little things go, because even when the first X-Men movie came out, which got huge praise and made a ton of money, people were complaining about the costumes.
I didn't complain. I was like, oh, this isn't what I've imagined, but I'm okay with it. I kind of went with the flow of it because it kind of went the way of like how Blade was.
Yeah.
Blade went it was like a hard left from like what the comics were, but it was like, this is so cool and sleek. I didn't know I wanted this, but I like it, and that's always okay. Sometimes
the question is always, did you enjoy it? Was it so good? I even make that comparison with wrestling.
Oh, you can do that.
Yeah, it's
all day.
So many people look at wrestling and they're like, oh well, that spot's not believable, or oh, it doesn't.
Yeah, this is wrong. This is wrong.
It's like, well,
this is killing wrestling. Yeah. Everything kills wrestling.
Nothing can kill wrestling. Wrestling is a fucking cockroach. Nothing kills wrestling.
That's both a good and a bad thing.
Yeah, to a certain extent.
You can step on it all you want; it will not die.
No, well, because the only thing that kills wrestling is something that shrinks the audience. And the only thing that shrinks the audience at this point is stuff that makes people ashamed to watch wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
And usually that's stuff that we don't think about. No one thinks about, fucking how. And the example I always go to is Kamala.
Kamala, yep.
1995, he was on WCW TV in '95. You had a black man playing a fake African and hailing from the Dark Continent.
Yeah.
That's one of those ones where you see that and you go, if you're not a wrestling fan, you go, oh.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
We gotta turn away.
Yeah.
We can't be a part of this.
Yeah.
That's when, yeah.
Same thing with even early Goldust was the same way, where it was super homophobic. It wasn't, and even if they're like, oh well, he's bizarre, he's getting in their heads. It's like, yeah, the whole spot is that he's gay and that's gross. That's literally what they're doing. And unfortunately, again, Dustin is a great talent, but it's like he's getting lumped in with this gimmick that at the time, obviously it evolved away from that, which is good.
Mm-hmm.
But the initial gimmick was very homophobic.
As far as
the presentation, the way they would do a lot of stuff, like they had him rubbing up on guys, and even like the Bronco Buster was more sexualized.
Yeah.
It was meant to be a lot of that stuff, and that's the sort of thing where if you show to someone who's never seen wrestling before, they're very uncomfortable.
they're comfortable watching.
I actually I met a couple last night before the show, the XICW show in Detroit. German couple.
Mm-hmm.
Have never seen pro wrestling. They were in town because apparently I didn't know this. Apparently, two of the biggest influences in techno music are Berlin and Detroit. Historically,
I'm trying to figure out why it would be Detroit.
Historically, apparently Detroit was a big epicenter in the U.S. for techno, like the development of it. I don't know how far back. I didn't ask. But apparently,
the city. I'm trying to think. Like,
I don't know. I'm just telling
the
you.
only music influences in Detroit would be at the top of the list for me would be like Kiss and Eminem.
Yeah. And even then, if we want to go back farther, I mean Motown.
Motown,
But apparently, like underground techno was I guess in the U.S. was like a big part of the influence came from Detroit.
I wouldn't think that.
Neither would I. But they were in town for that, for this like Detroit for this techno festival, and to like see a lot of the historical places that the stuff came out of, and they just decided to go see a wrestling show with them.
Right.
They'd never seen wrestling before, so whatever they saw that night, which included stuff I did, which ranged from doing arm bars to kicking someone in the face and yelling "suck my dick," to
You're an influencer.
oh, I am.
From now on, that's wrestling to that German couple.
Right.
You don't even know.
I didn't. I was like second match, so But they also saw
They left right after.
I hope so. I kill talents, but they also saw a War Games cage match with weapons and shit in it, where it's like thumbtacks, where it's like it's crazy shit that you've never seen. And I always make the comparison a lot of time with the way we as wrestlers view wrestling versus the way fans do, and that you can ask someone, because wrestlers will take shit real seriously. Like you'll watch Flair Steamboat,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
and most wrestlers will say it's an amazing match.
Yeah.
Show it to someone who's not a wrestling fan.
It's the biggest shit they ever seen.
Yeah. They might like it, they might hate it, but they're not going to think it's a real fight.
Where's our medium for this then, for our audience?
To me, I think you have to understand that at the end of the day, it's always going to be entertainment.
Right.
Whether it's entertainment that's more, shall we say, based in reality. It's just like with movies. Some movies are very gritty and realistic, and some movies are outrageous and campy. And The Godfather is not a worse movie because Freddy Got Fingered exists. You're not going to go.
Very true.
You're not going to go. Well, movies. You killed the movie business, kid. You made Freddy Got Fingered, and now the movie business is dead.
Yeah.
Because
Sausage Party ruined.
Yeah, Sausage.
Like, my experience with the Infinity War.
Yeah, Infinity War is a bad movie now because Sausage Party exists. No one's gonna go see the next Marvel movie because someone released Dumb and Dumberer, or was it Dumb and Dumber 2? I don't even remember.
This was Dumb and they did do a Dumb and Dumberer.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'm thinking of Dumb and Dumber.
But
2.
it didn't have
Yeah.
Jim Carrey. No one
Okay. I'm thinking of the one that had Jeff Daniels.
Yeah, Jeff Daniels.
Okay.
I keep saying Owen. Jeff. Yeah.
But you
Owen Daniels plays football.
Okay, see, that's why I keep getting confused. I thought you were talking about Owen Wilson earlier. But the point being is they did that one. And it's like those. A good movie doesn't become a bad movie because a bad movie's made.
Right.
For some reason in wrestling though, we still have this connection to the idea of because when they talk about killing the business, they're talking about killing the con. And the con is
Oh, you can let it run out.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And when the live feed runs out, that's cool. That means you got to watch the rest on the actual pod.
There you go.
The actual show on YouTube and SoundCloud.
Yeah. But the whole thing is like the business they talk about with killing the business is the con. The con was the business, not the wrestling. The wrestling was how we con people.
Exactly.
So you can't really kill the business if it's openly a work. And the same thing with movies, you know. It's like if it's openly a, you know, it's a show. It's no one goes to a movie that's bad and all of a sudden
They never want to see movies again.
Like I saw this movie that was totally unrealistic. It was called Star Wars. I'm never going to see another movie. But we have this obsession in wrestling with that still. We forget you can do anything.
I feel like it's okay to get lost into the fantasy with the show of what we do.
Yeah.
Like me and a buddy of mine used to have this. We used to have this analogy, this little story that we made with film and comparing it to wrestling.
Yeah.
Or like you like the thing with that we hate about movies is when they have that hard left and it takes us out of like the fantasy realm that we're in.
Yeah.
Like for example, if I'm watching Jurassic Park, I've already immersed myself in the fantasy that Jurassic Park is dinosaurs that live in the same world as humans, and we have them in a theme park. Okay, I'm all in. Let's go. You sit back, you recline, and you indulge yourself in this fantasy world, and you invest into it. But as soon as like you're watching 45 minutes into the film, and then a ghost appears, I'm like, whoa, I'm taken out of the film.
Now,
Like what? But you're okay with like running with the fantasy of like the Jurassic with the dinosaurs.
But you settled on something.
You settled on it,
Yeah.
and when you take that hard left and it adds something else that it takes you out of the fantasy.
If you go to a sushi restaurant and they bring hot dogs out to you, you might
I'm-
like a
I'm
hot dog.
furious.
But yeah,
I'm
but
furious.
It's not what you can do at a sushi restaurant.
Yeah.
Now there's sometimes a hard left works. I will give them that.
There's been
It's
times
not, but it's very rare. It's
like a Cloverfield,
Cabin-
Cloverfield Lane. I feel.
Cabin in the Woods.
I wasn't a fan of that.
I liked the way they went with it, though. I will say, I guess it's not
The way they did go, I understand and I appreciate it,
Yeah.
but I wasn't a fan of it.
That's fair. But to me, that's an example of where you do a hard left. That at least you knew what hard left you were doing. It wasn't like something like Knowing, where you think you think it's going to be a movie about psychic crime solving Nicolas Cage and there are aliens.
Yeah.
And it's stuff like that where it's a hard left, but it's a hard left out of nowhere. Where it's like,
I was expecting more espionage
yeah,
with this kind of thing.
and then you get this. Like, so I think that's really the issue. Is like you can do a hard left, but it has to be a logical hard left.
Very true.
Kind of like how you can do comedy on the front end of a match and then go into a bloody brawl after that, but you can't be doing a bloody brawl and then stop and do a comedy spot.
No.
That's sort of the line. It's you can go
The
from
continuity's changed.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not there anymore.
You would never see that moment in the middle of, or even like in the middle of a death match. You're not going to stop and do the slow motion spot. That's not how that works. We've already decided the type of universe.
I was going to say CCW maybe, but no, I don't think that's happened with us.
That was the one. 'Cause when I was younger, I disagreed. Like I would have been like, oh, you can't do that on the same card even, because I was very much a traditionalist. Because I remember there was a CCW show where they did the
dance,
the dance
trance
spot. Yeah,
the trance. Yeah.
where everyone came out and danced, and I was like, yeah, I feel bad for the guy who's in the main event who's probably in like a no rope exploding ring barbed wire match now because,
And if memory serves me right, I don't think there was any death matches on that show.
there might not have been, but again, it's
Yeah.
just me seeing the clip and then the conclusion I jumped to, as we often do. We don't. I mean, you watch a movie, or you see a trailer for a movie, you might jump to a conclusion about what kind of movie it is.
Which is fair.
Yeah, but then you sit down and watch, you go, oh, this wasn't what I thought it would be. This is very different, and again, that hard left can happen.
Did you ever see Mother?
I did not.
That is a experiment. I want to know if this works with the same, pretty much the same thing you were talking about. Because it's like, okay, you invest into this couple.
Mm-hmm.
They're in this house. He's a poet.
Yeah, I know the basis of the story.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of Cinema Sins. I've watched Everything Wrong with Mother.
I love Cinema Sins, and I never watched the Mother one. I need to.
Yeah.
I'll probably do that tonight when we're finished up here. Now we're going Facebook Live.
I have to go grocery shopping after this.
Oh yes. I won't hold you too long.
That's all right. They're open till Publix is open till 10.
Oh shit. Yeah, there you go.
I got time.
All
And
right.
they as long as I get through the door by 9:30, 9:45, they ain't gonna say nothing.
All right. Publix is right over there too.
Exactly. I know.
Yeah, so-
I timed this well.
Oh, he's good at what he does.
I'm very good.
Continuing on, CinemaSins is a I'm a big fan.
Oh, yeah.
I actually listen to the podcast as well.
Really? I didn't realize that.
They have one on Spotify.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's
I have trouble finding, unlike Swervecast or the what do we even call this? I'm sorry. We've been
now you're off and cut. Boom.
Oh, see, I'm fired now. But
Swervecity podcast.
Swervecity podcast. Thank you. See, this is what happens when just like I told you, calling matches. We go over 20 minutes, I start forgetting shit.
Oh.
Swervecity. We've got over 20 minutes, I start forgetting where I am. Swervecity podcast, which is obviously a wonderful podcast. You can find on many high quality platforms.
Oh, thank you.
I'm Donald Trumping right now. I'm just making general statements about things. With
no, you can't. YouTube is all we have. You better follow us on IG Live. God,
that's all we got. But I do struggle sometimes to find a good podcast because I'll listen to a lot of them and I'll want to like them more than I actually wind up liking them.
Right.
I hate to say it because I really like them as people and as wrestlers, but that happens a lot with wrestling podcasts. Like Edge and Christian, I love them both. They're great guys. I am a fan of their work, but their podcast is really hard for me to get through. And I've tried several times, like on long drives.
I never give them a try.
I
seen when they started doing it live.
Yeah.
On the WWE Network, and I was like, okay. I never checked it out. I don't think I watched like 10 minutes of it.
The interviews are usually better.
Okay.
But it was that thing where like they're back and forth. I feel the same with like I try listening to Pornette sometimes.
Yeah.
And it might be that point where I'm just like, okay, I've had enough. Or even I think Tony Schiavone's, where he's just going over stuff that happened in WCW when he worked there. I'm like, okay, it's a cool story.
Yeah.
But it doesn't necessarily draw me in. Because he's just going for memory. He's just trying to get the stuff in there.
Which can be tough to do. That's a lot of content that you've been watching over years.
And I think that's really the issue, is that for him, this was, day to day.
Right.
So some of the crazier stories might not pop into his head.
Or he might be mixing the stories as well.
That can happen.
So,
But you do reach that point where it's like, with a lot of podcasts are hard to find. And
yeah.
Like a good one. So that might be a quality one to listen to.
Yeah. Yeah. This one, for us, our biggest thing, I do eventually at some point want to get back to like getting out of that struggle with the poverty and getting on to how did you move on from that? Because like our podcast is basically made about being confident, overcoming those obstacles. TZ talks about overcoming his relationship problems and managing all 500 of his children. Well, mine was like the struggles of getting to where I am now, like on an independent level. Oh, yeah. So like there's ins and outs to this.
I basically, the weird part is I pretty much did everything through wrestling. I had no social skills until I was about 25.
Yeah, yeah.
And a lot of that stemmed from just I fell into a very weird category. My entire family was like this, where very intelligent, very well spoken, emotionally unstable, and socially awkward. So for me, it was always a struggle to deal with people in general. Like to this day, I don't like dealing with people. I have a funny thing that will happen is
like multiple people, like a group, or like
people in general. Yeah. Like you'll usually hear if you ever hear a story about me being rude to a fan, 99% of the time it's because when they approach me, I have no idea they're approaching me because they're a wrestling fan.
Okay.
I think they're just an asshole.
Okay.
Like if I'm in the gym and someone comes up to me, I'm almost always like, dude, what the fuck do you want? And I'm trying to lift. They're like, oh, can I get a photo? Like, oh yeah, sorry, I didn't know you were a wrestling fan. So okay,
yeah.
So the majority of the stories you hear about me being an asshole, it's almost always something like that.
At least you admit to being an asshole in those stories.
Oh,
other people are like, I don't know why you even said that. I would never do such a thing.
Oh no, I probably was. Again, it's a lot of the stories where you hear they'll be like, oh yeah, I told you I yelled that I really loved your work at you when you were in an airport and you just rolled your eyes at me. There was a guy who apparently that happened to with me. Every time one of my interviews got posted on YouTube, he would go in and write out this story to tell what a jerk I was because I did that. Because I rolled my eyes at him and kept walking. And I freely admit, I am a terrible person in airports. I hate everyone.
Everybody becomes a lot more evil in airports.
Oh, dude,
it's a struggle.
I was at Douglas Adams, who wrote the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, and Dirk Gently. He had the opening line of one of the Dirk Gently books. I think it's the second one. Is no language or no society in human history has ever created the phrase "as pretty as an airport."
No,
and like the first page of this book is just breaking down how much airports suck and how everyone hates them.
Everybody hates them. If you could do a top 3 of like worst places to be,
airport is like number 1 for me.
For you, DMV is probably 2.
You know what? DMV doesn't bother me anymore.
Oh, this DMV isn't so bad.
No, the Florida one, for me, it's like DMV. Ever since they started doing the whole system where they just give you the number.
Yeah, that's not so bad. But this one, but like you go to try to get your shit done in Pennsylvania, it's awful.
Oh yeah, no,
it's atrocious.
I've heard.
It's
But
atrocious,
but
and that's where I got my license.
the days of waiting in line are for most DMVs are over. Like, like even in California, it was you sat there and they gave you your number. You sat there when your number got called, you went up.
Right.
And now you got the smartphones and everything, so you can just sit there and play video games or look at Twitter.
Yeah, like matter of fact, I like this peacetime. This is I can wait another hour.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I'm getting shit done.
I missed my number like 4 times when I went to change my address. Because I was like,
because you're just enjoying.
yeah,
your phone
I'm
so
just
much.
chilling. I'm just like, oh yeah, I got a protein drink over at the CVS right there.
I actually
Okay.
to get my registration or whatever here. I left and went home. Came home. I was like, man, I'm gonna have like 2 hours. It said I gotta wait. Cool. I'm gonna play 2K. 20 minutes later, boop, you're next. I'm like, oh shit, I gotta freaking.
But they get you in really quick once
and
you
you're
start
in and
it.
out, but
Yes. But and that's the thing is like it's not as bad as it used to be.
Yeah, they've improved.
But for me, the number one place, like if you ever approach me in an airport, I'm almost always wholly unpleasant.
Especially 9 o'clock in the morning because you were flying from somewhere else at 5 in the morning.
Oh, and I always tell people that when they ask about it, it's like you gotta understand if I'm in an airport, I'm either going to work or going home from work.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine if you worked at like
Construction.
If you work construction and
Yeah.
you're driving and someo's fucking rolling up to you asking you about how you put together a building. It'd be really upsetting.
On your lawn.
It's like, dude, I'm just trying to go home, man.
Yep.
I miss being home. I just want to sit down on my couch. I want to play some Fallout or some Yakuza. I've got Shenmue 1 and 2.
That Pop's eye over there.
Oh, yeah. You like Yakuza?
Just got Yakuza 0. It's
I've-
awesome.
I've got.
I'm on
geez,
Spider-Man and 2K right now.
I've got to work through. I've still got to finish Kiwami 1, which is the remake of 1. I got Kiwami 2. I haven't even opened yet.
I'm
still gotta
connected
finish
inside
6.
with so many people.
Oh yeah, no, side.
This is crazy.
Yakuza 0, from what I understand, is like it's like a completely different story.
It's the earliest point in the timeline.
Yeah.
So the timeline starts in 85. Or no, sorry, that one starts in 88, I think. Because the first part of the storyline in 85, you get to play through in part 2.
Okay.
So it's really, the timeline's crazy. But no, it's that sort of thing. It's like, I don't want to be stopped in an airport. Ever.
No.
And the worst is with WWE because you'll have people who will wait in the airport for you.
They wait when you get off.
Oh,
Don't they have like those? And it's like I see them on social media. Like it's the same people getting the same photos of you.
Oh, yeah, no,
over and over again. I never understood the concept of that.
There was one girl. She said she was from Ireland, though Becky Lynch swore up and down this girl wasn't Irish, but she lived in Canada, and we had run into her in the New York area. The last time I remember seeing her was we did a show at Mohegan Sun in Connecticut, and it's the airport. It's like 5 in the morning. I'm trying to get my flight, and she wants a photo and an autograph, and I just said no. And she was like, I was like, I've taken a photo with you 3 or 4 times. I told this story. I was like, I know I've taken a photo with you. We've had conversations.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not doing it again. Like I don't know why you want another photo with me.
Like 8 photos.
Yeah, so it'd be. I understand if it's like different events, like but you came to the airport, like, or then you'll get the guys with like the wagon full of stuff they want signed.
Oh.
Again, it's like it's 5 in the morning. I've at least once, I will freely admit this.
How do you feel about signing things that aren't wrestling related? That's always weird to me.
I have no problem with it only because
Here's my boot. Sign it. Like,
well,
wait a minute.
the one that got me, so it was me and Uha.
Apollo Crews, everybody
Apollo
knows
Crews,
now.
yeah. We're in the air because we always traveled together. We're in the airport, and this hillbilly dude comes up with his kid and a steel chair, and he's asking everyone to sign a chair.
What if he wasn't asking for you to sign the chair? He just has the steel chair.
That would be weird. But no, this is where it gets weird. Is he's like, "What's your name? Who are you?"
Oh God, I've seen those guys.
And I refused to sign. I was like, "No, you don't even know who the fuck I am. What's the matter?"
You look important.
And he's like,
You got that W on your chest.
Well, I figure he's like, maybe I'll find out who you are. Maybe I won't. I'm like, I don't fucking care, man.
Yeah,
like if you don't care enough to know who I am before you stop me to waste my time to ask for an autograph, why the fuck would I care to sign it?
Exactly.
And
That's just rude.
yeah, like,
Incredibly
at least
rude.
lie.
I love you.
Hey man, I'm a big fan of your work. I really like your stuff, man. You're great.
I appreciate a good lie.
Oh, dude, I'm all for a good con. That's why I like, dude. When I get DM'd by the very clear like catfish accounts,
Oh yeah.
I'll just see how long they'll go before they'll expose how obvious a lie it is. Like how good they can be. Usually I'll just keep sending whenever they try to become overly like inappropriate. I'll just send them a link to my my Pro Wrestling Tees store.
Yep.
That's
where everybody goes.
Yeah, like,
that's the go. That's the go-to.
But I had one, the one that got me because I was dying laughing. And they're like the page is claiming like, oh yeah, I moved to Texas from Puerto Rico, I had to leave because my parents were beating me because they found out I was bisexual. It's a woman. So they're like okay, here's my processing T swelling. And then
I don't think you understand.
And
This
then-
is a call for help.
And then she's like, "Oh yeah, no, I want you to text me, baby or Poppy." And I'm like, "This is the number?" "Yeah, this is my number. Text me, Poppy." And I went,
Pro Wrestling T-Story.
"Oh no, I googled the. I was like, okay, let me Google this number." It's like, "You want me to text you?" "Yeah, Poppy, text me." He's like, "On your Boston number when you're in Texas." "Yes." Like, that's a terrible lie. You could have said you were in Boston. So at least then when I Google your area code, Boston comes up. I'm not going to text you, but at least it's a consistent lie. Like that was the part because
Continuity, baby.
Because I'm looking at it. Because my whole thing is I'm fascinated by the people who do that because I'm like, what do you expect to get out of this?
Truly.
And one of them I've never like pushed too hard on this issue because it's clearly a fake page.
Right.
But the thing that got me about it was that they've never gone too far over the line. So I won't. So I'll send them the Pro Wrestling T story, but I'll never like go. I never call them out straight up like, "Come on, dude, your page is fake as fuck. Stop it." But the one that got because it was the thing that like I'm looking through the page, and the thing that pops me is when you see other workers who like the photos, who you follow, like, oh man, come on, dude.
You guys.
You gotta be
You
smarter.
guys, come on.
But this one, she has a photo. It's like, first of all, it's always like they have like 60 photos posted over the course of like 5 years or whatever.
Yep.
And it's like so, and then the next like 4 or 5 photos later, it's like a 4S. Like these photos have to be like 6 or 7 years old at least. So I'm fascinated by the person who does that because I'm like, if you have like a good solid con, I'm just impressed that you can like put that together.
I'm just impressed you can keep the lie going.
Oh yeah, no, it's not easy. But the inconsistencies is where I just laugh. I'm like, how did you think this is going to fool anyone? The weird part is, it does.
It does.
That's the tricky
It
part.
does. That's where we get catfish.
Yeah, and even then, it's like if you do the catfish thing and it's like a convincing lie, I'm like, hey, dude, if someone got me, like, hey,
If somebody actually got in their car, you like spent gas to travel and to get fucked over. Kudos to you.
Yeah, it's like you delivered a convincing con. But if you deliver a bad con, I'm sad. I'm like, man, come on. How do you think this is going to play out? The human brain is basically a biomechanical computer for predicting the future. What do we got here? Was it a quiz?
Oh, no, you just got started, man.
David Stevens is watching.
Yes, appreciate you.
Thank you, David.
Yeah.
But it was the what was it? Like a convincing con. I'm fascinated by because especially if you can get me. Because even then, I'm never upset that I like got fooled. I'm upset that I didn't catch it.
Yeah.
Like that would be. I remember years ago when I worked for my dad. This is before I stopped talking to him. A guy got me with handing me a folded up 5 and saying it was a 50.
Ooh.
And then doing it from his car.
Ooh. And just taking off.
Taking off with the $45 and change.
Oh, that's a good one.
I was more pissed off that I was so stupid as to not notice that. Like that was what got me. I wasn't mad that I didn't give a fuck about the money.
Yeah, you're never really upset about the person. You're more upset that like, how did I
miss that?
happen?
Shit.
How did I let this shit happen?
Yeah, that's what that to me I get. So it's like I'm very fascinated by a solid con, but when it's a bad con, I'm just like, dude, how do you think this is going? Oh, what I was gonna say was the brain is like predicts the future. It's like that's your goal.
Yeah.
And it's not always right, but like if I throw a can, my brain's already decided what I think it's gonna do, even if it doesn't do.
Sure.
Years ago, like when I first started in NXT, a guy sent me a photo of his dick on Instagram
Phenomenal.
with the text, "Hey, I bet you're bigger than me." And the reason this has never left my mind, the reason I've always
That's not even a con. That's just a great. That's like, dude. Whoo!
Well, because what got me was
Like,
I get that we're
gotcha.
the generation of shoot your shot. I get that that's how the kids think these days. But the thing that got me about it was I was like, dude, how did you think this was going to play out? Like, what did your brain, and what in your ideal version of this was I be like, hell yeah, bro, take a look at it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm like, dude, I'm like, ooh, that's ooh.
Like, what is like?
You should have sent him like a Googled a big monstrous black one and just sent it right back to him.
That's actually
got your back.
Whenever a girl asks Mojo Rawley for a dick pic, that's what he sends him.
Yeah.
Yeah, he'll just,
I've heard like some other people doing that.
Yeah, but the one I was always sad that
You said a dick pic. It didn't have to be my dick pic.
Exactly. But the one that popped me the most, it didn't happen, but I was trying to convince him to do it. It was actually Nia Jax, because there was this creepy ass dude who was sending a dick pic, the same dick pic to like every girl in NXT. And they talked about it and laughed like how fucking stupid it was. But I was like, dude, you know what you should have done? You should have lambasted him. Like, I thought I was special. I thought you loved me. You said this to everyone. How could you do this to me?
I thought we had a connection.
I was like, if you could like make this guy lose his shit, like, no, you really are my favorite.
I'm sorry. Like,
that
I'll stop talking to Becky. I'll stop talking to freaking Sasha.
I'll stop like some listen, please, just don't break up with me. I was like, because to me it was like, again, the whole shoot your shot thing. I don't understand.
Right.
Like, if you don't know if someone's interested in you, they're not interested in you.
Yeah.
Like that's usually like a sound bet.
Yeah.
Even a thing I randomly came across on Twitter that I popped for huge, where this woman was recounting when her nephew, she was talking to her nephew because he seemed down, and she was like, "Hey, what's the matter?" And he's like, "Oh, well, I asked this girl out, and she said no." And she went, "Oh, well, you know what to do now, right?" And he goes, "Never give up, right?" She goes, "Fuck no." She said no. Accept that shit.
Yeah.
She is not interested in you. Move on.
You're done.
Like, why is that a bit? Why do we like build that up in our society? Like, never give up, win their affection. No, motherfucker.
Move on.
Move on. If they like you, if you have something in common, if there's like,
Because we watch too much fucking movies.
We do, and
we
we
watch
like-
too many stories and fairy tales, Lifetime movies.
You know-
all that shit.
and you know what the funny part is? You know who called us out on that shit? Fucking 30 years ago.
Ooh.
Hans Gruber.
Yeah.
He says that shit about John McClane in Die Hard. Another fucking American who's watched too many movies thinks he's John Wayne.
Yeah.
It's like, that's why we got gun control problems, because these motherfuckers think they're gonna be fucking John Wayne.
Like you're gonna get in a shootout, dodge 80 bullets, and fucking take out all this army of people. No, that's not gonna happen.
And even the guys who are like, "Oh man, no, well, what if the government, dude? The government has fucking drones with laser beams that can cut your ass.
They
in
ain't
half.
going out
you,
there.
You think that you think you have enough money to even play with the government if they want to kill you? Like you're not even. That's like a motherfucking little league team playing with the New York Yankees. Like, you do not have the money to compete with the U.S. government if they want to kill you. You cannot buy enough shit to defend yourself from the U.S. government if they want to kill you.
Oh, that little hole you dug in the backyard?
Yeah.
No, they can get into that shit.
It's like, oh, you've got 10 shotguns? Ooh. You've got 500 rounds? Ooh. They've got a fucking army with nukes. Like, you do not play with them. You're not in the same league. You're not in the same sport.
No.
So the idea that, like, oh, I've got to keep my guns to
They're
protect
Jack
myself-
Reacher.
Yeah, it's like you're getting Jack Reacher at that point. But it's like it's like you cannot defend yourself from the government. The disparity in 1886 maybe, because there was one type of gun that everyone had. So it's like we are not in the era where you're going to be on an even playing field.
No.
So the idea that that's a reason
You've got a better chance throwing rocks.
Yeah, the idea that you have that you can do that. Oh, playing the audio back, but
Yeah, we're done. Yeah, we're done here. I love this.
Facebook Live.
Yeah.
But the idea that you could like compete with the government and that sort of thing is always laughable to me. It's like, and then the same guys that'll do that will tout about, oh, the government's evil. You know, look at Ruby Ridge. It's like, yeah, look at Ruby Ridge. Look how that shit went down. Like, and they fucked up. They fucked up and they still killed everyone. Like, you know how bad that is when you can fuck up royally and still win easily? Like, that's the game you're playing. You are not gonna win. You can say all you want, but it's like it's a matter of personal defense. Yeah, you mean like the dude that what was it the black guy in fucking Wisconsin, who's like telling them he's
There's black people in Wisconsin?
Oh, well, besides the NFL, yes, but I know the guy who was a member of the NRA, and a cop pulled him over and asked him if he had any weapons in the car. He was like trying to surrender the weapon. The cop shot him like 30 times in front of his kid. It's one of those where you're like, this is a guy who's like face to face with a police officer and not being violent, and he still got shot 30 times. Like, you are not going to win this fight, and I don't know why people think they can, other than
They're
watch
special.
too many goddamn
They
movies.
watch too many movies. They watch we pump our fucking fantasies up. We do too much. Sometimes we do too much.
We do.
As human beings, we do too much and we think too much. We think too highly of ourselves. I'm all for accomplish your dreams, do the impossible. Like there are times, but
there's reason within it. Like
Yes.
your goal was not to be the first man to have a pro wrestling match on Mars,
no.
because that's insane.
In time, it may be.
Like,
But
depending on when you're.
But here's the thing. Like I've always heard this. Like a goal without a plan is just a wish.
Exactly.
If you have a plan to accomplish your dreams and do what you want to do, then by all means go for it.
Yes.
But if your dream is to do this and you have no plan to get from here to there, you're just wishing.
Conan O'Brien, he once said, because he knows how, being a stand-up comedian, he knows how hard it is to get your break.
It's incredibly difficult.
And we talk about this in the car, though. 9 times out of 10, with everything in life, it's about timing. It's not about being good. You can be the best wrestler in the world, but if you're born in an era when pro wrestling is not a big money business, it doesn't matter. Lou Thesz conceivably could have been a better wrestler than Kenny Omega. I don't know. But at the end of the day, Lou Thesz was born at a time when there's like next to no footage of him until he's in his 50s.
Yeah.
So no one knows. And the style was completely different, so no one even knows what he could do. You only knew what he could do within the confines of the style as it was.
Yes.
So Conan O'Brien's whole thing was, I know how hard it is to break into comedy, so when people come to me, I'm very open. And he was actually interviewing Simon Cowell about this, because he's like, Simon Cowell, people are always very hard on him because of how he treats people. It's like,
Yeah.
you gotta understand, I'm a professional, and you have guys who have no ability coming to me thinking they should be put on a national stage
Yes.
because they want to be famous.
Because they think they're special.
Mm-hmm. But they have nothing about them that is special. And Conan was like, I have guys come up to me on the street and they go, yo, Conan, man, put me on your show. And I
Wow.
go, okay, what do you do? They go, I don't know, just put me on your show. You don't know? You don't know what you do? Well, then why the fuck would I put you on my show? My show is about showcasing talent. If you were like, hey, I'm a magician, watch this, and you pull your fucking hand off, and blood sprays everywhere, and I'm freaking out, and then all of a sudden you're behind me, and there's no blood, how the fuck did you do that?
Get on the show.
Okay, I put you on my show.
Yeah. You were more likely of it at that point when you're just going up on stars on the street. You're more likely to get an opportunity, being like, "Hey, I'm good at doing the lighting rig.
Yeah.
Can I get an opportunity, an internship
Yeah.
to go in the studio?" You're got way more of an opportunity doing that than anything else. And then but that's the opportunity. That's the plan to go to get to your goal, to get to where you want to be.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people just want to take the elevator to the top, and it doesn't do that. That doesn't work.
They don't even want the elevator. They want the
They want a
they
parachute.
They want the teleporter.
They want to parachute onto the fucking
Exactly.
roof.
They want to drop
Yes.
down.
They want to drop like, okay, how you want to get in the sky? Oh, I don't know. I'm like, no, you don't have a fucking.
You have to get in the plane first.
Yes,
Like,
you got to find a plane.
But that's the problem, is that no one, like when you have those unreasonable expectations of yourself, you wind up with this weird sort of malaise throughout your entire life because you keep expecting that something better should have happened for you, but you never found, because again, I mentioned it earlier, WWE was never a professional role for me.
Right.
It became.
What was your big break to get to there?
I basically turned 30.
Oh,
I turned 30 and I had
turned
not
30
made-
in 2 years.
I had never made a living in pro wrestling. I've been doing it since I was 18, almost 19. So at that point, I think I've been wrestling for about 12 years.
Yeah.
And I never made a living. I wasn't even a name on the indies. I was a guy who'd pop up every once in a while and do something of semi-note, and then you wouldn't hear from him again for like 4 years. Like I did the thing where I did a 6-man tag wrestling with Misawa, tore my ACL like 2 months later. Right, in a match with Jay Lethal, well, that should have been a big deal.
Right.
But I was wrestling guys like Jay Lethal when he was in Ring of Honor, but he was still like a mid-card guy there. I wrestled Nigel McGuinness before he broke big. I wrestled Silas Young before he was doing anything really big.
Right.
So it was like I was having good matches with these guys, but these matches weren't being seen because this was 2004.
It was hard to get stuff seen at
Oh,
the
yeah.
time.
And I
Unless it
lived
was on those DVDs.
Yeah. And I lived in California, and it was like unless you're in PWG in California, you may as well not be wrestling.
Right.
So at that point, it was like I'm and then I tore my ACL and I was out, and then I came back and I do like 1 or 2 things. Like I wrestled Davey Richards right before he got really big, winning the Super 8. Like he won the Super 8 like 2 weeks later. But again, the match wasn't seen by anyone.
No, they saw the Super 8.
They saw Super 8.
Right.
So you'd have it. So the whole thing is like, I was just sort of a guy who kept wrestling, and I even moved out to the Midwest to Harley Race's school because I was trying to get into Japan, and that never panned out. And I was turning 30, and I basically decided I was like, I need to make a living, and I put together a promo video at the suggestion of William Regal, and I showed up to a taping and gimmick, and they liked it, and that was sort of what got me my tryout, and in turn got me my job. But from the time that I decided I wanted to work for WWE, like that I was going to do it, to when I actually got signed, was about 18 months.
Okay.
Like it was literally, I decided in January. I decided in February 1st. February 1st was the day because that was when I had to talk with Regal.
Okay.
I was turning 30 that fall, so I was 29. And that was the point when it was still everything you were hearing about getting signed was if you were older than 25, you weren't getting signed anymore. because Ty Bailey and Johnny Ace, their whole deal was guys under 25 who were single, because they didn't want to sign people who had kids or a wife. They didn't want to sign people who were over.
Which
30.
their demographic changed.
Oh yeah, it changed now.
Dramatically.
Dramatically. But back then it was like that was the whole thing.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I just sort of asked Regal, what do I do? And because it was like no one's biting.
Right.
And he suggested the gimmick because I had the mustache already. So I put something together with that, and that was what led to me getting a job. But like that was February, and then I started with the company July 8th. That was my official first day of the following year, July 8th, 2013.
Okay.
So let's see. So February, March, April, May, June, July. Yeah, it's 5 months, and then a year and 5 months. So 17 months from the time I decided I want to work for WWE, I had a job.
Mm.
And I pretty much had a job until I hated it.
Yep.
And that was
same here.
And that's kind of how it works a lot of the time, is that you work for a place until you are not happy. And it was that weird game of catch up, because it would be they weren't doing anything with me, and I'd be getting angrier and angrier and angrier because I wanted to work, I want to wrestle, I want to show that I have more to offer than this gimmick. And then they'd start paying me more. So all of a sudden I'd calm down, and I realized money will keep you happy for about 3 to 6 months.
It's a pacifier.
Yeah, like there's a finite window. It's like because after 3 to 6 months, you sort of settle into getting used to making that much money, and all of a sudden it's not impressive anymore. Even if it's like more money. It was more money than I ever made in my life. I mean, the most thing I'd ever made in a single year in my life was maybe 14 grand. I had a day job.
Right.
So when I go to start making $79,000 a year, I'm like, oh my god, I'm rich. So then all of a sudden you're making like 85 grand after you've been angry about the fact you're not getting used or how you're getting used, and you're like, okay, I'm okay for right now. Then 3 or 4 months go by, and all of a sudden you start getting angry again because you're like, it's not using me. And then you get bumped up to like 95, and all of a sudden you're feeling great. But again, that worse. Then you get called up, and you're making 125 minimum. So it's that whole feeling of each time you hit one of those points, you start feeling better. But the downside of that is that when you're in developmental, you have the hope of getting called up.
Right.
Once you get called up, you have no hope. So if you're not getting used well when you're called up, it's a very depressing situation, or it can be. I'm someone who my work is where I find my joy.
Yes.
I need to enjoy my work. If I'm having matches I'm not proud of, I'm having matches I don't enjoy, I don't feel good. I feel bad. Because it's one thing for me.
You have pride in what you do.
To a certain extent. It's one thing for me if I have a bad match and I'm a good wrestler, I'm okay with it. But again, I have
to show the whole world what you have to offer.
AJ Styles has no problem working with anyone in WWE because everyone knows how good AJ is. No one knew how good I was, and it sounds very egotistical to say it that way, but no one knew what my level. So in the more polite way, no one knew what my level of ability was. As far as anyone was concerned, I was a comedy gimmick,
right?
And that was all I had to offer, which could have kept me employed if I was happy just doing that.
Yeah,
I would. And some guys are fine just doing a gimmick. And
some guys turning that skill off and then just going with.
Heath Slater is a good wrestler, but he's happy just being there.
Yeah.
Kurt Hawkins, he saw how hard it was on the Indies when he had that sprint when they released him. I mean, he's the only guy I know of that ever get booed out of CZW, or not CZW, out of PWG.
Yeah.
Like he got with AJ. No
with
less.
AJ.
Like how bad a match has to be for AJ not to be able to save it.
Mm-hmm.
Like and he saw how hard it was on the Indies.
It's extremely hard.
And he was like, so when he got the chance to go back, he was like, I want security, and he has it, and that's great. Some guys can do that. I couldn't. I'm very much emotionally invested in my own work, so if my work isn't good, or rather if it's bad for reasons beyond my control, I think it's a better way to put it.
It's almost like a really great painter finally being able to put his work out into studios and galleries and stuff, but you got to use crayon.
Or worse, or even the comparison I made, BoJack Horseman.
No.
Because 2 shows I'm very fond of, BoJack Horseman, and then I have to watch the new season. It just dropped recently.
Yeah, I heard about that.
But also Extras, which is a Ricky Gervais show.
Okay, I like Ricky Gervais.
So Extras is basically what would have happened if he'd gotten done by the networks the way that most people do when he pitched The Office.
Yeah.
The show is about a guy who starts out as he's an extra and stuff. He quit his job. He's trying to get this TV show off the ground, and it gets picked up. And the whole idea is supposed to be no laugh track. It's supposed to be very realistic, and it's literally The Office is what he's pitching.
Right.
and they turn it into the cheesiest, most cliche sitcom you could.
It's like the episode of Family Guy when Brian finally got a script taken, and then like, no, they're gonna throw James Woods in it.
Yeah,
you're gonna date a younger girl, and then it's like, what? This is supposed to be something else. What is this? Yeah,
but you're not getting. But it's like, then and literally, there's even an episode where he loses his shit, like when they're filming the first episode, and they're finally like, and they go, look, a lot of people are here. You can ruin their lives by taking their jobs away. You can have wasted all this time and money from the network, and you can end your own career, or you can shut the fuck up and do your job. And he literally looks around for a second and goes, I mean, we're all already here. And there are these shots in the show that are like heartbreaking, where you see him like standing off camera, just broken, and it's like puts on the wig, puts on the glasses, big goofy smile, and he has to go out and do the bit because he's in the show.
Yeah.
And it's that whole thing of like, that's kind of how it feels. That's kind of how it felt for me. Like I tried watching the series again, and it was too real. Like, because that feeling of, okay, let's put on the big fake smile and go out there and let's do our match that I know is not going to be good. And again, it's one thing if it's bad because of me. It's another thing if it's bad because it's been set up to be bad.
Yeah.
Like, this is what we're allowed to do. You've got 70 seconds because The Miz went over on his promo. Sorry. You don't even get the sorry. You get Miz went over on his promo. We need to cut time. You got 90 seconds. Go.
Yep.
You're so unimportant that The Miz not doing his job well is more important than you doing your job well.
And that's what we live in.
It is, and it can be very.
That's
hard.
and to everybody, that's the pinnacle of what we want to be.
Yeah, is you kind of want to be.
You want to get those 90 seconds to mean something.
Yeah, and the reality is, no matter how good the 90 seconds are, it's still 90 seconds.
Yeah.
But that was kind of my point of contention. I never vocalized it, but it was like, we lost so much match time to the Miz's promos, and I like Mike, and it's not a knock on him, but it's
I just recently met him at Morrison's wedding.
Yeah, but it's like, if you can't get your fucking promos under control, why aren't you in trouble for that? But if my match went over, I would have been. This is my point.
Power struggle.
Exactly. It's like he's at a point where the company values him, so he can do that. But every time he does that, he's taking away from me.
Yeah.
So it puts you in a really uncomfortable position, because on the one hand, I have no issue with him, I have no issue with his promo.
Right.
But by his promo going over, my match suffered.
Yeah.
Because if I'm low on the totem pole, they're not going to take the time from Cena.
No.
They're going to take time from me.
I would sometimes just scrap the whole thing altogether.
This is going to sound bad. I wish they had more often than they did. To be quite honest,
Like, just save it for the next week.
Yeah,
there's going to be plenty of TV time next week.
Yeah, it's like I would rather.
Or a main event.
There were more than a few matches where we had to do them because there were like angle things.
Yeah.
I would have much rathered if we scrapped them, because I would rather have, and I said this before in an interview, I was like, I would rather do a 30-minute match and lose clean than do a 4-minute match and win. Because if I lose that 30-minute match, I guarantee you're going to think more of me after 30 minutes.
There's a lot more investment. Yep.
And you're going to see what I'm capable of.
Yeah.
That 4-minute match, I can go over, but there's only going to be so much time. There's only so much I can do in 4 minutes. Especially if it's 4 minutes with entrances and exits. So it's like, that 4 minutes is now
90 seconds.
Yeah. 90 seconds.
90 seconds.
What can I do in 90 seconds? I can hit one move and we go home.
Yep.
Cool. If it's not my coolest move, then what does it matter?
Yeah.
And it might not be my coolest move because we're in tag team, so we gotta hit our finish. So all of a sudden, it's like that thing everyone's already seen. We have to do that.
Yeah. Nothing new. But yeah, I'm gonna close up the shop.
There we go.
Because it gets you to this grocery store, man. Because you got about
I got
20 minutes.
Yeah, no, I got to go groceries.
And you got a 2-year-old girl waiting at home for you, so you got to feed the babies. You got to feed the families.
16 months, but yeah.
16 months. Yeah, 2 years. Yeah.
She's so giant.
She might as well be 2 years.
No, her great grandmother. She's already like 2/3 of her great grandmother. Great grandmother's like a 4 foot tall woman.
Oh Jesus! Oh God! Like I was like, wait. I was thinking like, in age or or size. I was like, what? I was confused for a second. But I'd like you to plug whatever you have to.
Well, you can find me on Pro Wrestling Tees. It's obviously /Simon Says with S's, no Z's. I didn't realize there was an indie wrestler named Simon Says.
There is, yeah.
That's a random one, but I found that out. I was like, oh well, it's too late now. But there's that, my Pro Wrestling Tees store, obviously. You can also find me on the Instagram at GotStyle WWE, because when you're certified on Instagram, they won't let you change your name.
Yeah.
You have to email them directly, and apparently when you do that, they tell you straight up they probably won't see it.
Gorgeous.
Oh yeah. Then also you can find me on Twitter at Devious Journey. You can see me every week on NLW with Shane Strickland. Also at various random indie shows all around the country and the world. Yeah, that's about it. You can find me on Shane Strickland the Swerve podcast. It's amazing stuff. High quality stuff.
It's great, man. Yeah, we're trying to motivate these people. Get out there and do your dreams. Within reason. Do not try to jump off of roofs because you believe you can fly.
Think of it this way.
Do not wait outside the freaking Titan Towers waiting for Vince McMahon.
Here's what you do. If you want to figure this out, write your goal on one side of a piece of paper. Then on the other side, put where you're at. If you cannot figure out steps to get you from point A to point B, that's probably not a good dream.
Yeah.
And if you don't know,
research. Do your research.
You know how I'm sure you get this too? The kids that like message you and they're like, "Hey, can you train me to be a wrestler?"
No, I can't because I'm not certified. I'm not a good Well, you don't need to be certified to train anybody nowadays.
But it's like, dude.
Yeah,
Google, Google, motherfucker.
Yes, but I can the more appropriate question isn't like, can you train me? No, can you point me in the realm of where I can go get trained?
Yeah, but
yes,
and even then, I'm even okay with hey, can you recommend a school?
Yeah,
it's the people who don't seem to know how do you become a pro wrestler? Fucking Google it, goddamn.
That device in your phone that you're tweeting
yeah.
about WWE events every day, use that.
All I could, on a closing thing, what it reminds me of is there's an episode of Futurama where they have the iPhone where they actually
is it an eye? Yeah, I remember those.
EYE. But there's a whole point where it's like, hey Fry, did you know these iPhones are also phones because they're using all the apps.
Everything else, they forget that you get the whole purpose of it is to talk on the phone.
It's like you have Google on your phone, right?
It's like Spy Kids. Oh man, this watch can do everything. GPS, yada 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 yada. But where's the actual? Can it tell time?
Yeah.
No, there was no room for it. Oh,
Danny Trejo.
Ah, bad reference to finish this podcast out. But yeah, this is episode 7. What are we calling this thing again?
The Grimm Adventures of Simon and Shane.
I think we called it something different. I forget.
Oh damn!
You'll figure it out when you go back and.
That was what it was. That's the thing.
I think we had something.
I think we called it Jack Reacher too.
We could the Jack
Reach Around.
Doing the Jack Reacher.
We're doing Jack Reach Around. It's settled. Jack Reach Around.
Jack Reach Around. There we go.
We have some great titles to our episodes. Jack Reach Around is going to be the one that takes it.
Okay, wait. Possible sidebar.
If you have time.
Manaconda.
I like Jack Reach Around.
Damn.
We're going to close this out. Next week, we'll be doing episode 8. And Monteasy will be back. All his children will be wrangled up in a ranch somewhere because he will have a home for them now because he's moving into his new home this week. So he will have his children under control. We will not lose numbers of children that Monteasy has. So he will be back on next week's episode. We're going to discuss and go more into the Eminem MGK beef because he has a lot to say about it that I didn't want to paraphrase on this one because we got to save the content for next week. So I'm all about content. If you ain't got good content, you ain't got a good show. But yeah, we're peacing out here. This is Swerve, Shane Strickland, closing out the Swervecity podcast. And actually, I wanted to pitch real quick. Shout out to NGW in Tennessee. We are going to be doing a live podcast over there in October.
That's good stuff.
Yeah, so a second live podcast. Me and Monteasy will be going out to Knoxville, Tennessee, and NGW in Tennessee to do our second ever live podcast, and we have another one in the works as well in the Florida area. So stay tuned to that. You'll be seeing it on the Swervecity podcast Twitter at Swervecity Pod, the Instagram Swervecity Podcast Official, the Facebook page Swervecity Podcast. Check us out. Pay attention to what we're doing. We're doing some big things. Black owned, baby. And as always, be confident in everything you do. And if Monteasy was here, he would say, and wash your stinking ass.
I was going to say stay black.
Wash your stinking black ass.
Oh, wow. Come on, man.